Hi everybody, SuzyQue here and welcome to QueAquatics and Exotics. And today I'm going to face my fears. I've been very intimidated by CO2. I'm going to do it. I am going to set up CO2 in this tank because here's why I feel confident. I have this Fluval CO2 88 kit. I'm not sure what the 88 stands for, but I'm sure we'll find out. This is a pressurized CO2 kit, so let's check out this kit and see how it works out. So I have probably had this since 2 years ago, Reefapalooza. It was a sample that Fluval had brought, and I got it for a very affordable price at the end of the convention. I've been very intimidated. You can even say I've been kind of scared to use it. I've heard some horror stories about CO2, so I didn't think I was quite ready. I think I'm ready. This says it's good for 15 to 40 gallons. This is my 40-gallon breeder. It's got my polypterus in it and 2 electric blue Jack Dempsey. So obviously this is not going to be their forever home, but it could be the forever home for the plants. Those electric blue Jack Dempseys are a little shy, so they may come out the longer I sit here and talk, but they may not. So let's take a look at inside the Fluval CO2 88. What's inside? So you have the instructions, what the kit contains. Number 1 is the cartridge. Oh, that's inside this thing. Number 2 is the bracket. This is the bracket. 3, internal CO2 diffuser. That's this. 4, the regulator valve. This is the regulator valve. 5, bubble counter. And 6, hose. Okay, so I'm going to read these and I'll be right back. Okay, the first thing is to make sure that this valve is turned fully clockwise. Thread the regulator to the CO cartridge. Use the adjustable wrench to tighten until the valve pierces the cylinder. Snug fit. Wrench. It's as tight as I can get it. And there is a reading. Ta-da! Cut off the required length of hosing to connect the regulator to the bubble counter and to connect the bubble counter to the diffuser. Measure, calculate length of hose required according to where you will be placing the CO2 cartridge and bubble counter. You will end up with 2 hoses. Open the bubble counter, fill it up with water, and then close it. Counterclockwise, loosen the tube lock connectors located at the top of the bubble counter cap. Attach one end to each hose and lock the connectors. I got that. Make sure to push the hoses to the bottom of the fittings. Turn the lock connectors counterclockwise and hand tighten to secure. On the top of the bubble counter cap, you will notice that there are 2 arrows. To connect the bubble counter to the regulator, unscrew and remove the nut on the left side of the regulator. So this is going to sit on the bottom of the tank. The hose is going to go it says for maximum efficiency, it should sit on the bottom of the tank. This goes inside the tank that will attach. This is supposed to hang on the side of the tank. That's not going to hang on the side of the tank. So I might need a couple zip ties. It's not going to hang on here. I think it's meant for a little baby tank. So let me see if I can secure this to the side of the tank using some zip ties maybe? I wonder if it matters if it's higher or lower. So I got these 2 zip ties and this zip tie. I'd actually feel, well, I guess it's on, but I might even zip tie this. Zip tie the whole thing. And then this bubble counter is supposed to go next to it. Before I cut, measure twice, cut once. Got it. Thank you, Mom. So what I'm doing, I'm going to put water in this. This has 2 little caps on it. Can you see that? 2 little caps. This is going in. So you take this little cap off. Make sure this goes all the way to the bottom. This has got the arrow going down, which means it's the CO2 going into the bubbler. I do not need my wrench for this, it's plastic. Okay, turn. And I got to fill water in here because we're going to count bubbles. So I'm using tank water. They didn't say what kind of water. Just fill it up. So I'm going to take this off. See this? This nut, because sometimes you feel like a nut. Doing the same to make sure that this end is all the way to the bottom, as far as it will go, and then tighten the nut, which is righty tighty. We're going to put this up here. We put the bubble counter. Okay. Well, I'm sure it's not supposed to look like this. I have no doubt it's not supposed to look like this. This is what mine looks like. If you guys have CO2, I would love to see how yours looks. Is it real pretty next to a tank on a table and just sits there, or is it all zip ties left and right? I'm gonna have to cut some of these zip ties because it just looks like craziness. It is what it is. Once everything is set up, open the regulator until you see bubbles. One bubble every 2 to 4 seconds. Bubble, 2 bubble, 3 bubble, 4 bubble. Okay, that's not it. That is so not it. 1, 2, 3. That's a bubble a second. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's too fast. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh my God. You count seconds and bubbles. Jesus, God help me. Let's start again. 1, 2. Is there a timer on here? Stopwatch. Ready? I'm gonna count. I'm gonna start this, count the bubbles, and then divide. I'm gonna start with the first bubble.
1 bubble. 2 bubbles. 3 bubbles. 4 bubbles. 5 bubbles. 6 bubbles. 7 bubbles, 8 bubbles, 9 bubbles,
10 bubbles. So 10 bubbles for 28 seconds. I'm going to say that's 2.8 bubbles a second. There you go. That's between 2 and 4. But I got, for 10 bubbles, it was 28 seconds. So what I did is I counted the bubbles. I counted 10 bubbles on my stopwatch. See how long it took and divided the 2 so I can get how many bubbles per second. But now I have the CO2. I'll do the CO2, my bubble counter, diffuser, polypterus. Look at the electric blue Jack Dempsey back there. Are you hiding from the camera? So I want to get a good look at what the tank looks like on day 1 of the CO2. Please, I feel like I need to preface all my videos. This is not a how-to. This is not me explaining CO2. This is my very first time experiencing CO2. And I gotta tell you, I'm a little nervous. So I'm gonna come down here an hour before the lights go off and turn it off. In the morning, I'm gonna turn on about an hour before the lights go on. And I'm going to just monitor this. I'd love to sit here and explain how the plants with the photosynthesis from the lights turns to fuel and it needs the CO2 in the water and it absorbs nutrients from the roots, but I'm not an expert on it. I get the gist, but not enough to explain it. I'll keep you informed. Now what I'd like to know is how many of you use CO2? So I guess my question is, let's say my plants love the CO2 and then I decide to not do CO2. Are they all going to die, or do they stay their healthiness and continue to grow, or do they hit a setback? Can CO2 be put on timer, or is it always manual? Because if the bigger ones can be put on a timer. I'd much rather set up the timer so this is going on automatically an hour before and shutting off an hour before the lights. But then I know that it's going to be matched up with the lights. But this is manual because it's just a little kit. So this I'm going to do manual and see how I like it. Since these plants take up nutrients from their roots, I think I'm going to get some root tabs and see if I can transform this tank into a lush aquatic garden. That's what I'm going to try to do. But I really just want to get over my fear of CO2. It is a tad bit overwhelming. But I'm going to keep a close eye on it and I'll let you know how it goes. So thanks for coming along and checking out how I set up this Fluval pressurized kit. It was not as hard as my brain made it out to be. So thanks for checking out my CO2 experience.